music for Lagos.
102.3 Max FM.
That is such a beautiful song, and that was Rema, who, by the way, is just 4 years in the industry, and we're so happy about his growth. So that song was, of course, the big hit that brought him to the limelight. Song titled "Do Maybe, Do Maybe." 9 minutes past 9 right here in Lagos. You are listening to the Max Breakfast with Debbie and Mark at Vice Mombasa, and we're being joined by a special individual. He calls himself the unorthodox polyglot MC. Inspirer, music movie maker. We're talking about one of the best, finest comedians in the game, Koffi Tha Guru. You're welcome to the studio.
Yeah.
Bonjour, Bonita.
Bonita, ça va bien. Good to have you here, man.
Yes.
You prefer Senorita?
Whichever one flows for you. Well,
Thank
it's good
you
to
very
see
much.
you.
Thank you very
I
much.
hope you're doing great.
Oh, sure.
Beautiful. You just celebrated your wedding anniversary, so definitely.
My wedding anniversary,
Yeah.
my birthday,
Everything in
Aroma
March.
at 20.
This March means a lot to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, but bros, if you not come bring anything, join this celebration now. Let's say,
I was.
I bring blessings.
Everything I be collect
Bring
for you.
blessings.
So
I bring
I was
blessings.
talking to
I bring
Koffi,
blessings.
behind the scene. I
Yeah.
said he's one of those guys that have been there, steady. He has never gone off the scene. He's been there. And I asked about some certain individuals that I know him with them. He said, yes, I keep in touch with them.
Wow.
And that's fantastic to know.
Wow.
No, that's not what I said. I said I don't leave my people behind.
And that's the keeping in touch.
No, I don't leave them.
after you have wisdom. Now, yeah, wisdom, just Solomon now.
Not keep in touch. I don't leave my people behind.
Yeah.
Not just keep in touch.
So that
I'm
means he
involved.
carry everybody
I'm
along.
involved.
Yeah.
The person you're talking about is Tolu Alaji.
Yes.
I'm Ajayi. Her latest promotion, I'm the person pushing on one end.
Wow, but that's wonderful after 20 years.
Yeah.
After 20
Wow.
years.
Wow.
Mombasa.
Koffi said, don't keep in touch. I carry them along.
Mombasa.
I know they leave them behind.
You have
Mombasa. She say wisdom now, don't pass Solomon.
No.
No, start me and you own.
Koffi, you I mean, we've listed some of the things that you do: MCing, music,
Yeah.
comedy. Which one came first for you? Unofficially,
Hunger
because
begets
officially
talent.
we knew you as a comedian. Unofficially,
Funny enough, what came first for me is what most people didn't know. I'm a stage actor. I'm a trained thespian.
Yeah.
So my major blowout was as a stage actor. But it was in a circle in Unilag till it now blossomed a bit. But because stand-up comedy was the new thing that every young person was using to really thrive. And that took us further than just stage drama. So then that blew me up. Then the music now took me way beyond myself. So it was stage acting that I started with majorly.
All right. Owing to the fact that you have come this far, there's always this, there's this very profound statement about the industry, how terrible it is. People describe it with so many adjectives. You've been there for over more than 2 decades now, and you
25 years.
25 years. And I mean, how would you describe it yourself when you started compared to what is happening now? Now, for you to have said, look, I am not leaving my people behind, that tells me of a man who has a principle he's holding by and is ready to hold that principle to the last day. But in this part of the world, we find people not holding up to their own side of the bargain, and somewhere along the line, it just cuts off. What is that adjective you would use to describe the industry now compared to when you started?
There's so much self-conceitment, selfishness, and naturally, being a musician, you get to work with a lot of forces. Being an actor, you get to work with a lot. But being a comedian is a very selfish thing. It's about you wanting the loudest ovation. So if you have to describe the industry in those 3 areas, it has to be different.
Okay.
So I can speak for all areas, actually. For me, the comedy industry, we came up with the idea that everybody's keeper. You are your brother and sister's keeper.
Yeah.
You must hold the next person by the hand. We must go together. But then we now got to a next generation that started thinking they were pop stars. They started wanting to live the life of the musicians. ironically, we started collaboration in the industry. We understood that once one comedian was doing something, everybody was doing something. Invited or not, every comedian would turn up at that event.
I have witnessed it a lot.
So musicians at the time used to complain that why are they not acting like comedians? Them Tony Tetwila at that time, they weren't doing collabos. Go check their generation until later when they now started doing collabo with the Ghanaians who were singing Hip Life at the time. So it was from us musicians now started learning the art of collaboration. So going further into the next level people, we had two issues. One was the poaching of other people's materials to climb, using people's jokes, doing a permutation and combination of everything, bringing it together, and then blowing up, then not being able to maintain the stardom. That's one of the things that sort of affected our industry. When somebody blows up, and then
on someone else's creativity,
and then when the demand now comes and they cannot meet up with the demand because it was not yet time for them. But we came gradually. We were coming exponentially. We didn't just blow up. I didn't just blow up. I had invested about 5 years of on the ground foundation whilst in Unilag. So by the time I came to the fore in 2003, I was ready. But nowadays, some guy does something amazing, a routine amazing, and people, but then they start giving him titles. You are the Odogu of this. And then it enters his head, and then the time it should take him to research and build up, he also goes to the marketplace. And because I won't tag a specific set of people, but because there is a certain thing about, Nami they reign now, they start, giving equivalent rates to him and somebody that has been there. He now feels he has arrived enough. Okay. So me that has been there maybe some 10, 15 years before you, they are paying me the same amount as you, or even you more than, because you are the rave of the moment. You suddenly feel, you have arrived. And then imagine having about 10 young guys come into the system at that time with that mentality. The system is going to implode. For actors, they are good. They find a way around it. Musicians have a similar problem. Most are not ready when they come into the industry.
They just have one song.
Okay, so Koffi, you're one of those guys that have held your own. So I want to know, back then, there was no social media.
Yeah.
It was just you and the
microphone
in front of people. I remember.
In fact, there were no mics at some point.
So I want to know, these days, people call, maybe you do one thing and people repost and everybody gets to know you.
You go viral.
You go viral immediately.
Yeah.
So I would like to know what you think the impact of social media has been with comedy industry vis-a-vis back then and today.
One of the major gains of social media is that it has now shown us the different other genres and areas of humor. Previously we just had maybe drama humor. Then Alibaba had to work so much to define stand-up comedy in a very corporate world. So that was another level. So we could now say that, okay, the Osophias, the Jaguars, the Zebudayas could be funny, but then we can have this guy tell funny stories on stage and then relate it in a very corporate way. So what's the next level? People didn't know about pantomime, they didn't know about clowning, they didn't know that you could do comedy as Mr. Bean without saying a word. Mr. Patrick started that a long time ago. Nobody gave him attention because there was no social media. If social media was available then, Mr. Patrick would have blossomed a lot. But Mr. Bean could do it in a structured environment because there was adequate circulation for such materials. But in Nigeria, no platform was able to give Mr. Patrick the room to express himself as a pantomime creative. Clowning, Zumba is a fantastic clown. I've used him in a lot of videos to sell him to the world, to see that this is also an area. Nobody bought into it. But social media has now been able to let us see that it was possible to just take a minute to do something nice and then blossom. So that's what social media. Unfortunately, what it has done for stand-up comedy is make people disrespect it in a way, thinking that every stand-up comedian needs to be in their faces every day. It is not true. A stand-up comedian, first and foremost, is a social commentator, a very conscious individual. So he needs time to develop materials because he's going to be an authority in whatever he's saying. He's looking at norms and ills and bringing values to society. Not somebody who just wants to make you laugh. That's why you have a structured environment where a Dave Chappelle can be relevant after 30 years without being on social media.
Koffi Tha Guru.
Koffi Tha Guru.
Yeah.
If I reach out get grey na you.
Wisdom, not too much.
As in-
So DJ Solomon, I be my name now. Break don't finish me. Okay, boss, I go actually like ask, why we say people now they appreciate skits more than stand-up comedy, more than I want to class am, because you go see person wey be say if you give a mic real life, you know,
go fit stand,
you
no
no
fit
fit
talk.
last 1 minute. In fact, na him go dey narrate to una say if I no funny here, I dey funny for my skit o. So how do people give that due respect to the stand-up comedians wey feel say they work more, put in more effort to bring out material, and how dem go fit survive for this market? Be say e be like say skits dey more appealing now than stand-up comedy.
Like I said earlier, it all comes from ignorance. We don't have an enlightened society who knows the different areas of these things. See, as I did like this, no matter how I funny reach, I can never stop Osofia's market. I can never stop Victor Osuagu's market. I can never stop Charles Inoji's market. We're all defined in our areas of humor. Okay? The skits have always been here. They never just came. They only just have a new vehicle to drive it. If you go back and check a few months or even till date on social media, on Instagram, most of the time the videos that people yearn for are the short cuts from movies by
True.
Sam Loco, you know.
Yeah,
Those are skits.
So they are intentionally written into the movies.
No. The movies, they are extracts from the movies.
Extracts from
so
the
what
Because
you know,
the reason why I pointed it out is that you see some movies, right? Some people feel it has no bearing to the script. You just see one portion of the movie that has this interaction between Gatesman and Oga, and you're like, "What's this? How does this lend itself to the story?"
It's a what do we call it now? It's a breaker.
Yes.
You know, it's a transition to, you know, and the subtle parts of the movie that just douses the So some movies are written that way. What I'm talking about is full comedy movies who have parts that you chop. Now what has happened is that a new generation has now seen a quicker way to the market by just doing those excerpts as skits.
Yes.
Okay, and this goes back to the very foundation of comedy. The Charlie Chaplin's, the Tom Hardy, what's that name again? Way back, this is how it all started.
Okay.
It's always been there. It is just us who did not go, you know.
Yeah.
So,
but anything we enter with the scatter
and because the first areas of sitcom that we knew, the New Masquerade, the Papa, and all those things were owned by platforms that did not create skits for us. NTA did not cut out skits for us. It was the full sitcom we watched. But now we don't have the time and
The
patience
attention span has
to
reduced.
watch, you know, a 30 minutes on social media. So they have to smart up by just giving you a minute, 2-3 minutes of it. So that's why we have this and make it look like, okay, skits are the new. No. It's they just have another avenue. In the nearest future, things could change again.
Well, we're still here on the Max Breakfast. We were taking a journey into the comedy industry here in Nigeria, and of course, we've got somebody who is well qualified to, share his opinions about it. Well, in case you didn't know, he's also an artist. For those of us that are just catching up, here is one of his songs. This one is simply titled "Blessings." You're listening to the Max Breakfast. Of course, we still have Koffi Tha Guru in the building, and we're talking about the comedy business and his journey so far
in the industry.
I want to ask this question. Now, we talked about Rema earlier on, and now we're talking about Wizkid. Two different people, two different journeys, but some people are even arguing to the point of, Rema is now bigger than, Rema has so many millions of streams, compared to, Wizkid. There's now an argument between someone that's been in the industry for a long time and somebody that came in like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But when it comes to comedy, but the interesting thing is both of them are doing well internationally. They are known.
Yeah.
No matter how long it took Rema to get to that point, and Wizkid to get to that point, they're both there on the international scene. But when it comes to comedy in Nigeria, you talked about the greats, Ali Baba and all the other amazing comedians that kind of pioneered the industry, versus skit makers now that all they have to do is go viral online and they're there. Now, the comedy industry, is it structured the way it is right now? Is it structured for sustainability? For someone that starts right now, what's the guarantee that in the next 5 years,
Just like them.
he would still be there
Okay.
without having to diversify? Which a lot of artists don't need to do. Some of them are still P Square, still singing, they don't need to go into other businesses for them to keep that name going in the music industry. But for comedy, sometimes you see the comedy greats diversifying to talk shows or other businesses.
First and foremost, there is nothing structured in the entertainment space in Nigeria,
In generally.
Okay.
Okay.
So you just have to go
With the flow.
with the day, just keep going. But what keeps you relevant for all times is a good name. Just have a good name. Be a good person. Sometimes you might not be the funniest guy around, but you just have a good charisma, you have a good relationship with people, you continuously build bridges. This is an environment that depends on relationships. It's not about how best you are. I'm not the funniest guy out here, but I've been here 25 years. Some people have come and gone. I've seen a lot in all areas, in comedy, in music, in movies and everything. But it boils down to the way our environment operates. We're a small and medium scale economy. Our relationships are based on how we relate on the daily. Now, for instance, the corporate systems have a structure that, if you check over time, has not been able to work with the entertainment industry because we don't have the structure that they can. And that's because our structure in entertainment is based on personal relationships on a daily.
So, but then why is it that you can easily say Afrobeat to the world? I mean, as I mentioned, you have a Wizkid and playing on the international field. But when it comes to comedy, hardly would you find them breaking out on the international
because
scene?
comedy is local to every environment. Comedy is based on local idioms, expressions, language. Music is a global and spiritual phenomenon. My biggest hit song, Aroma, as a 2006, the remix was a Wazobia fusion. It had Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. First ever. Was the official wedding song in Australia. I've never been to Australia. But I could not go crack jokes in Australia because I can't speak Aussie. But the music was speaking to somebody. They could just feel their spirits in the music. So music, like before Wizkid ever entered his first international flight, he said, my music travel, no visa. He had never even traveled, but he knew that this is what music does. But comedy, if you bring me to New York with Kevin Hart, I'm going to be a fool. If them born Kevin Hart, we'll bring and come Lagos.
He could have talked to himself.
As in, if he performs his best materials in Lagos Island, all I need is 10 minutes in Lagos Island. I'll give all that polyglot you saw on my status. You now know the meaning because I'll perform in Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, French, AV, everything. Kevin Hart, now he go come begin to say, man, can I get autograph for you? Can I get autograph for you? So humor is localized.
All right, let me get down to this very quickly. Now there's this general notion that the OGs are making it look as though the younger generations, because of the fact that they have the advantage of social media, they kind of not understand what it took you guys to get where you got to. Would you rather blame these young folks? Because if you check these young folks out, a lot of them now can edit videos on their own. They are very, very practical with their hands. They are very swift with, materials. They know how to cut this out. Unlike back then when you need a video editor station to do all of that job. Now, these guys obviously are smart. When they saw that, look, this social media thing is paying off. Facebook now pays, and the traction you get on YouTube also gives you money. Why can't I just own this content, own everything I have to own, and do what I have to do? Is it that the old guys didn't see the opportunities in the social media and decided to catch up with them, and they were still probably stuck in their bubble, not knowing that things would change the way it is right now?
To each his own. Every generation, there must be some innovation. It's left on you to either catch up or
Stay
be
behind.
caught dead. And I don't think there's really a banter about whether OGs are beefing new Gs. And no. I'm a legend in my own status. But still, these things you say, I do it on the daily. I have InShot, I have CapCut on my phone, and I do that. I upgrade all the time. I already saw a future where I would have to get royalties from YouTube, so I didn't expose a lot of my materials. It is now that I'm taking advantage of those materials. I am on Facebook and monetizing just the same way as the young guys. I am just not in a competition with people who saw me as a role model when they were coming up. That is where we must not mix it up.
So because of that, because of the new age comedians that we have doing skit, do you think there's still room for new people to do the classic stand-up routine? And they'll be
There's no
prosperous?
clash anywhere. If you go check out, on my website, I usually advertise stand-up comedy gigs all
And
the
it's
time.
still, and there's still money in that space.
We make more money actually, because I'll tell you why. On the average, on a good month, take out this election season for instance, if I have like 3 corporate gigs in a week and 2 social functions at the weekend, that's like 5 gigs in a week. Multiply that in a month. Now the young upcoming comedian that is not even on my level gets 1 or 2, maybe even more than that on a lot of levels. Maybe the monies are not so much, but they continuously engage. Now a skit comedian cannot post 20 skits in a month. And even if he does, he's going to soon run out of ideas for skit making. That's why you see some, they will be a flash in the pan. They are all over the media. And then 1 year later, we don't see them. Because they quickly run out of materials. But then at the end of the day, some don't get the numbers that will come back to them through Facebook and YouTube. And then they only end up advertising as best as they can. That's why you see that most skit comedians continuously advertise only to survive. But a stand-up comedian does not need to advertise to survive. Because he needs to continuously just get involved in his relationships. One-on-one relationships. And they keep going. So for the next 10 million years, stand-up comedians, like I told you, are social commentators. So we'll always be here.
Hey, wait. Okay, don't read. But boss, make I actually ask.
But
Now,
hold on. But the problem here is this. Most people, not just stand-up comedians, always want that quick attention to fame and fortune, which is what is causing the tension. I want to be seen. No. I, for instance, I have never wanted to be famous. So I'm very comfortable in my zone. I don't care. I don't care who is hot. I don't care what's happening out there. So long as I'm doing well, I'm paying my bills and taking care of my responsibilities, I don't care who is hot. I don't care who is trending. If everybody can have that mindset that you are doing well, stay in your zone, everybody will be fine.
So, boss, I want to actually ask about charging when it comes to comedy. Because, like, sometimes it's not easy. And client go get my wine you understand? Then can't look for person, say they take substitute you as threat. It's okay. You are billing 500,000. Okuku cost also person will collect 200. And more so, this one a person where you respect, where you say in they collect like 1 million. They'll come mention the name to you as who go collect the 200 where you they reject.
Yeah.
That's one. So sometimes that kind of environment, how we go take survive? That's one. Then 2, help us with our wise spending of what we are making. Because another thing, there are so many popular people don't go poor because they make the money. They may be out of over excitement. Okay. They fade off financially, but keep name somewhere.
For me, you see, charges are relative. Like I said, it's based on relationship. For instance, I have a rate card. When you charge a corporate brand, you should not be stupid to charge a social brand. If a corporate brand is asking you, please, can you be available for this? And you say, okay, my charge is 1.5 million. That's a corporate brand. How do you expect Mr. Fadei to be able to pay 1.5 million? That's where we usually make the mistake of thinking it is about you. It is about the economy and the realities on ground. You don't expect one individual who is having a birthday because some other guy paid you 1.5 million last week. He's an oil magnate. You now expect some guy who earns a salary to also pay you 1.5 million. The fault is on you. It is on you. You have to balance it out. You have to know who to collect 30K from and who to collect 3 million from. I've done just for somebody who says, Koffi, I no get to. Give me your date, I'm coming. And then I get there, say, Koffi, see what you want give you. I didn't ask you for money because I'm also supporting you. You should get to a point where you should also bless people with your gift so that it will come from someplace else. Because the 3 million I collected here has actually covered for about 10 clients. Then when someone who you think is bigger than you is taking that amount, you don't know their responsibility. It is your fault that you are not, weighing your options. First and foremost, you should build a relationship with that person. If the person has said, please, this is what I have, listen to that please. And then use certain terminologies to balance it out. Okay, this is not what I take, but please know that next time you call me, I'll do this for you so that you know what I can offer. Please bring your value to the table first so that the person can actually say, I'm sorry, say I go add something to that money. True. You should take your value to the table.
Well, speaking of taking value to the table, we need to take a break. When we
bring value.
70 years old man.
Now the thing is, Koffi Tha Guru, I don't know how old you are, but your wisdom today was that
I'm 46.
Wow. That's amazing.
All of us keep quiet.
This is your top. You can, in fact, advice. How old are you again?
I'm 30.
You like say, Nago still enter Super Eagles last. Well, we're getting to the tail end of the conversation, and we just can't live without talking about the other gifts that he brought for us. The second offering of another song. This one is titled Flex. Before we round off, can you tell us, more about the song?
Flex is just me.
Flexing.
Yeah, being grateful and then enjoying my blessings.
Okay.
The new album is due out soon, so I had to, create new bounces and let people know that, okay, 20 years later, we're still here and doing it fresh. So you don't think that, okay, we're caught up in the past and all that. The Aroma 2.0 featuring Obesira and Punchline is a celebration of 20 years of Aroma. So all of that is on the album Area Boy Blues, which should be out soon. So I'm the Area Boy, but I'm dropping 2 albums at the same time. Papi Patron, which is a Togolese album. Okay. So you hear things like this on this level and then things like that on that level.
All right, before we go, I just want to put this on you just like a flash. If there's any old artist who's been there before that you want to have them back into the scene again to give us a dose of what they used to be, who would that old artist be?
It's a long list.
They're actually out of the scene now, but you desire. If there's anyone you wish to come back.
Beautiful Nubia.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful Nubia. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I met him recently. We were good friends, and I'm like, can we put something together? We just he's in his space and he's enjoying his space. He doesn't want to come to the pop side of things because it is ethnic soul he does.
Yeah.
So Adekunle Gold took it from ethnic soul to ethnic pop, then to now pop. So we need to migrate.
To worldly now.
So that's pop. Once it gets to the global stage, it's pop.
Well, you can follow Koffi Tha Guru
on
his social media platforms.
It's a delight talking to you, man.
This was a journey.
I told Koffi maybe he has to go to classroom and lecture.
Time machine today.
Yeah. I teach through my humor, but Nigerians are not ready for that.
I get coconut head.
But we're ready to enjoy the music right now. Thank you so much, Koffi.
Thank you so much.
We hope to have you back another time.
I will.
All right, good.
It's an honor.
All right, thank you so much for listening to the Max Breakfast. We'll be back on Monday, 5 a.m.
Hit music for Lagos.
102.3 Max FM.